Assignment 2, Engaging Audience at Earl and Callum. Audience segmentation and analysis. The two different client segments that I'd like to look at are the homeowner who has already been to an architect or designer and had drawings done, possibly planning drawings and possibly structural engineering. So they've been somewhere else and had the design done to start with, and they are searching on the internet for builders to price that design and then to build it. The second segment of clients is the homeowner who's looking to do work to their property and who is currently looking for a designer. So they haven't been anywhere else before us, and we'd like to capture these particularly so that we can be in control of the whole process. And so those are the two different segments. And the key differences between those two is one's looking for a builder and one's looking for a designer. And what we want to do is to promote the design and build service to capture them. So key differences with those two groups is the first group that already has a design done have spent quite a lot of money on having this design done. Generally the design has not been designed to a particular cost, and often the person has been sold a dream by the designer because the designer's not building it. It doesn't matter to them whether it comes in on budget or not. What matters to them is that the customer engages with them to do the design. So generally they overpromise what can be done for the money that the client is talking about spending, and therefore when they come to us they have unrealistic expectations of how much it's going to cost to build, because the cost has been played down while they are being sold the dream, and also they've been charged quite a lot of money to do these designs. With that group of customers, we're generally selling them a service to cost the designs that they've had done for us to build them, but just in a general budget cost, not a specific down to the last screw cost, so that that group of people can then go, oh okay, well what I've had designed I can't afford, which happens probably 8 out of 10 times. What I've had designed I can't afford, so how am I going to change the scope of works and change the specifications to fit within the budget? And then how do we change the information to then sign a contract to do the build? So that's one group that have been sold the dream, and the process is fraught with stops and starts to change things to make it fit within what the customer can afford to spend or has to spend. In the second group, the customer is kind of, I suppose they're blue sky thinking, as they say, and they're dreaming about what they can do with their property, and they're concerned because they know that quite often designs are designed without thought to how much things cost, and then you have a reality check. The thing with the second group of customers is building trust, because to be designing and building their house, first of all, they've got to know that you can be trusted with their money and their build, and that you don't need someone else administering a contract that controls you to make sure you do the job properly, that you can actually you have the skills and capability, and also the business ethos to produce a design that works for everyone, that makes you money as a builder, but not too much money, because the clients want to know that when something happens, or when you say that you're going to do something for a certain price, that you're actually going to do it, because the industry doesn't do very well on that front. So people are expecting the price to double, the time to double, and for the work to be done quite shoddily. So the key with that group of people is definitely gaining their trust at the beginning, so that they can so that you can do them a budget cost before you start designing. Kind of get roughly, yeah, we're going to do an extension and a loft conversion and insulation and underfloor heating or whatever it might be, but you get the general ballpark of what they can spend their money on. Then they can make the decision to spend their money on a particular bit of it. Then you give them a price to design it, and the price to design it from us is generally less than the price to design it from a third party, for a number of reasons. One, we don't tender, so therefore we're not producing down to the screw specifications to pin someone else down on a price. We are spending the time doing the design, and while we're doing the design, we're mapping out the detail and putting in within the price a realistic cost, even sometimes a slightly overestimated cost, so that when the design's done and you're going through the next process of fixing the cost, the costs generally hovers around the same amount as little things go up and things go down, rather than it being a magical mystery price that to get someone in the door, that therefore you have to put up to make money. So this trust element is the kind of biggest thing. For each audience, we need to adapt the communication style. With the first group of people looking for a builder, that information needs to be presented probably on Facebook and Instagram, because they're a slightly older crowd, but to again build this trust that we are honest builders who are going to price the job honestly from the beginning, and also that we're going to execute the job in a quality way. So this message needs to talk about the skill level of the staff, how we look after our staff, the ethos of our business in terms of the delivery of the projects, our knowledge and understanding of the cost of things, so that when we do give them a budget cost, it comes from a place of knowledge rather than either a random number or a number based on quantity surveyors' rates, which quite often don't translate properly into general building jobs because of all the different parameters that aren't taken into account when those rates were formed, which generally makes them a little bit low. And so the build side needs to be communicated in a language that shows our skill and knowledge on the delivery of projects. Have examples of what we do, how we do, and also reviews and some content created by using past customers' experiences, so that the new customers can relate to how the process has gone through. Again, while selling the build service, our content, I think, needs to show how our design knowledge and knowledge of the whole process actually makes things simpler and work. But in effect, what we're saying to customers, both of them, is come to us and we will we will be, with our skill and knowledge, we are able to be truthful and honest and correct about how much things cost, and therefore and the realities of the different parameters of what can be done at every step of the process. Therefore, we can, whichever point, if they come to us to build, we can say, right, we're drawing a line under this now, that we're going to do a budget cost of what this architect's designed for you, so that we can have an honest discussion at the beginning about what we're going to do, how much it's going to cost, and how to move on from this point forwards, so that we're not trying to manipulate the situation, which in effect is what a competitive tender does. As a builder tendering, say, against 3 other people, what you're doing is you're saying, what's the information, the drawings given to me, where are the holes in it, and therefore what can I use to put in a low cost for certain things to make my price look lower, so that the customer comes to me in the first place. And then when they say, oh, well, I wanted a sockets with wires between them, you say, oh, well, that's an extra because you didn't say on the paper you wanted wires. That's a very random example, but this is what we want to get across to those people, that we're going through and using our knowledge and experience to give them the information to get this price and agree it in a way that works for both of us and helps the process going forwards. With the second group of people, we really need to be talking about the process from the beginning, and how often jobs are over-designed because their designers don't have any there's no incentive for the designers to design something to a budget. They want to sell you their design services, so they will want to up everything in terms of all singing, all dancing, and imply that they know what they're doing and this is the way they do it and it's brilliant and you should engage them because they're going to do this. And then they're going to find a builder by going through all the RIBA stages, and it's all going to be marvellous. That's them selling their design service, so that you spend, as the homeowner, 6 to 12 grand or whatever it is on either planning or full design. And what we want to communicate to the customer who's looking for a designer is that if they come to us, the whole process is going to be a lot more efficient and known and understood. And so again, we want to be explaining the process that the industry works under, but not in a belligerent build away like that, but in a kind of succinct and understanding way, I suppose. So I think that that slightly scaremongering is probably one tactic. With both of these groups in different ways. Not maybe scaremongering is not the right way to put it, but I suppose what I'm thinking of is prodding them into action by highlighting the things that do go wrong with the different processes, and which then will highlight on our design service how efficient it is by one person, one business taking responsibility for everything. There's no, oh, they said that and you said that, and the information, because there's not two different businesses, so the information that you're working with, when it's your own information, you're just trying to make it right. If it's someone else's information, you're looking for the mistakes in it, and or not being as helpful as you are when it's your own process, because you're contractually have a different arrangement, which is the key, I suppose, to this. So yeah, for both groups, I would say that showing examples of how things generally go in the industry, which are not good for the homeowner, but good for the designer, lining their pocket, and possibly the builder lining their pocket, or the process going wrong. So that would be the first for both of them, but slightly different. And a second strategy, again for both homeowners. That I suppose that first strategy would work over Facebook and Instagram, because that's the kind of right audience there. And the second strategy would be to show all the wonderful design work that we've done, and the customers who have been taken through the process and are happy with the efficiency, and show that efficiency. So for the design and build customers, show them how good it is when it's done in a way that avoids the nonsense of the industry, and how well it works for the homeowner and also the builder, so that it can be built to a really good quality. And then similarly, to go through and show where the process falls down and why it falls down when the homeowner's gone to a separate design place and then come to a builder. So those would be the two strategies for both the audiences, and hopefully they would all kind of cross over as well to reinforce what we're saying in each one. How would you respond to an evolving situation during a project? Again, I suppose that you're posting things about being a good design and build firm, and how you're going to solve all the problems. I guess you could have architects posting on your comments saying, "Oh yes, that they're talking nonsense," and to kind of try and belittle or try and, I suppose, show all the problems that happen conversely when a designer's not there to stop a rogue or not so good builder doing stuff. So they might post things saying, oh yes, well that all sounds marvelous, but we had a project where the builder stole all the client's money and ran off. You can't trust builders. So we need to be looking for this and commenting back on everything. And even if someone if something big blows up like that, creating another bit of content to answer the question in a way that brings it all back to yes, well, that is a problem you have or could have, but that's by going to an untrustworthy, unskilled builder, and that's not us. So that would be the way that we would have to react to situations like that during the project. And that's a threat or issue during designing and building projects related to client communication. Again, this is the communication is key, and I guess that's a big difference with what we're saying. What we're saying is we're using our skill and knowledge to communicate in a way that assists the client so that they understand more about how it works, and so that they can use the situation to their advantage, and we can use it to our advantage to be clear at the beginning on price and design, so you don't have project creep because you've worked it all out at the beginning and you've got kind of contingencies and you've got options A and B. If it goes well and we don't have to waterproof the ground floor, we can go with option B for the tiles because we'll have an extra £2,000 in the budget. And that level of honesty and communication stops the mission creep, scope creep, and misunderstanding technical specifications. All these sort of things that are kind of used by the construction industry to manipulate the situation to make more money because the things haven't been priced properly at the beginning. So that is definitely the way we would approach that, and it's a sales point of our design and build service, because we're eliminating so many things, and so therefore keeping all of that within a tight framework for the content creation. We can keep everything, I suppose, use the same pattern that we're using on our design and build service to keep the content tight, create just enough, and keep adding to it to make it more impactful. I hope that made sense. Thanks.